um they can't stop me and be like, oh, this music is unlicensed. You know, so I'm find somebody I know personally and say, hey, my boy gave me permission to use this. You want me to call him for you?
Right. Big
You won't
facts.
believe this morning. I literally got a hit this morning from Instagram about a video I posted 2 years ago.
I got one for a video I posted in 2016. 2016.
Instagram needs something to do, y'all.
Hold on a second. Get
Hmm.
out. Go back out.
And this was cool about the dope show, y'all. This was cool about the dope show. The fact that we are live and we get moments like this. Like I said, the live moments that happen. But it is that
Sorry.
time. It is that time of the month. Look, we got moms on here momming right now. Like that's
Yeah.
why I love the dope show. It is that time of the week, people. It is Friday. It is 8 something. And I am your host, two-time ATS hottest DJ, the God DJ Agony, also known as Dr. Dope. And I keep telling y'all, I keep bringing more and more positive people around because all my friends are positive. I only keep positivity around me, and I got good people with me. I got old friends that become new friends, that stay friends, all that good shit, man. And speaking of, so tell them who you is and what you do.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Tyshawn Jackson, but Ty for short. Currently a senior assistant district attorney in the DeKalb County District Attorney's Office. I head the new unit called the Firearm Violence Prevention Unit, where the goal is to reduce the proliferation of gun violence here in DeKalb County.
Ooh, she used a school word, y'all. Proliferation. Yeah, go look that one up. And then report back to the chat and tell me what it means, because I'm just gonna roll with it like I know what I'm talking about. So you said you on the district attorney side. So what got you there? Because usually when we think about it, and I say we as in the black community,
Absolutely.
the defense attorney is the usually because it's like we're the ones in trouble. So
Right.
the defense attorney is the good guy. Like, everybody like Johnny Cochran became a household name after OJ.
Absolutely.
Probably after Todd Bridges, but OJ definitely made his name. But then we look across the counter to Chris Darden, and it's just like Chris Darden was all kind of sellouts. We booed Chris Darden, threw stuff at him, probably. Like, so it would look like on the outside looking in it, like you're one of the bad guys.
Right.
But you picked that side for a reason. And
Ab-
knowing you in real life, think about it like this, people. Me and this young lady here, we're about at 20 plus. 20 plus years, give or take. So I'll be the first to tell you that she good peoples.
So yeah, I grew up in a less fortunate area, like typical those who may have been born impoverished. But my mother was murdered back when I was 9 years old, and I
Mm,
found my mother when I came home from school. Do y'all hear that in the background?
yeah. It's like a whole ass whooping right now.
And they just playing, doing high fives.
It's quite all right. Because when
Okay.
you're at the dope show, you can liable to hear anything.
So my mother was murdered when I was a young kid, and I came home from school, and I found my mother murdered. She was shot one time in her head, laying on the bed. And so that was a trauma that that's still with me. And unfortunately, like I said, growing up in a less impoverished neighborhood with an impoverished family, no one even talked about counseling. So I had to learn how to heal literally on my own as a 9-year-old kid. And
Wow.
I didn't get counseling until I was in my early 30s.
That was
Because
yesterday.
yes, because I didn't know anything about it, right? And so at that moment, fortunately, the the caveat to this is when I got home from school, the person who murdered my mom was the first person I called. Isn't that ironic? He was my brother's father who murdered my mother. They used to date, and it was more of a obsessive relationship because they weren't together. They were not together at the time, but he was more or less obsessed with her, and he had the notion if he can't have her, nobody can.
Wow.
So at that moment, I was already subjected to the criminal justice system, and as I went off through school, I started doing little competitions. I started with oratorical contests, and then I I had a mentor. Mentor when I was young at the school called Case Western Reserve University, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. That's where I'm from. And they were law school students. And so that introduced me to law, right? My mother's murder introduced me to the criminal justice system. And then the lawyer, the law school mentors introduced me to law. So that's how I wanted to become a lawyer. But I didn't know exactly where I fit, right?
Okay.
So fast forward, now I go to law school because I want to be a lawyer. I actually don't want to be in criminal law at this time, but criminal law finds me. I end up interning at the district attorney's office, and I had a conversation with the prosecutor, an African American prosecutor. And I was questioning myself as well, like, how can I make a difference with my people if I'm working on a prosecutor side? I think the same. At that moment in time, I thought the same way as any other Black person, right?
Okay,
Prosecutor
so it's
was
not just a me thing then.
no, prosecutor, but Black man, right? That's the only thing
Gotcha.
on the inside. I mean, outside looking in. But
Mm-hmm.
I learned a very valuable lesson in the intern. People think all about the defense attorney. The defense attorney gets the man off. They get him off. You know who has the most power in that courtroom? Not the judge, not the defense attorney. It's that prosecutor. That prosecutor determines the charges that you face, which determines the mandatory sentence you should get.
Mm-hmm.
That prosecutor is the one who determines or makes a recommendation to the court as to how much time you should get, what the terms of your sentence should be. And this prosecutor told me, you're the most powerful person in the room. You need to be, as a prosecutor, you need to be at the table. If there are no prosecutors that look like us, then everyone that doesn't look like us are going to throw the book, right? So you may get a person who don't look like us, don't recognize where you come from, don't have some of the similar circumstances that they have. So you're able to read in between the lines when you're reading cases and quote unquote facts, and you're able to determine through your experience when you don't think certain things are actually accurate because you've been there. So as a prosecutor, I have the authority to dismiss cases, to recommend sentences that's typically not recommended by people that don't look like me, to look at different alternatives for those who have been subjected to the criminal justice system, and look at alternatives other than prison. But if you don't look like me and you don't care about me or care about my race, then you might not take that into consideration. As a prosecutor, I have dismissed more cases than any defense attorney has, quote unquote, gotten off. I've prevented those people from even being subject to the criminal justice system entering a guilty plea because I have the authority to make those charging decisions. And being that I have the authority to make those decisions, I can give recommendations that I think are more fair and reasonable, aside from those that may not look like me. I can recognize the BS when I see it and dismiss those cases. Because let's be frank, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. When I go to a calendar and there are multiple defendants in there, most of them are Black.
Yeah.
Most of them are Black.
I've been to court before. There's a
So
lot of Black people
as
there.
me being on the side of the state, I'm able to minimize, those who are wrongful or who are sentenced excessively.
Oh.
You get what I'm saying? So you may have a person that will give up, and this is hypothetical. I'm not saying this has ever happened. I'm sure it probably has, but I have never witnessed it.
I ain't
But
see it.
but someone else may give you 10 years and I give you probation. But if I'm not at the table, you will never have that opportunity. If I'm not there to be the state and give recommendations that are reasonable, then you're going to be subjected to those extensive or cruel and unusual punishment according to the Eighth Amendment that they get away with. So when I realized I can make more of an impact on this side of the table, I took it, because I can leave here any day and make way more money in a private sector than I'm making it as a
So
state employee.
I've heard.
But every time I get ready to leave, I realize that I may be doing a disservice to someone who needs me and I'm not there for them. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. It's one of those things where I've never heard it explained from that angle to
Yeah,
where it's not more so you being on the side of the bad guys. It's like, no, I'm over here to help you. Wait,
absolutely.
let me help you. I
And you
get
know,
it. I
there's some
love it.
cases though, to be honest, that I can't help, right? But
I mean, you can only do what you can do.
exactly, like so, like as I told you earlier, I just finished a murder trial, and it was black on black crime. But in this instance, I look at the facts of the case, I determine the facts, based off the investigation that's done to make a decision. In this case, my opinion, an innocent black man got killed for a reason that didn't concern him, and so in that case, I had to go to trial, and I had to kind of recommend a sentence that I felt was reasonable considering the circumstances.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
because in thinking about being the prosecutor, a lot of times, you said you dismiss X amount of charges, but
yes,
then going back to you saying your origins in the criminal justice system, putting away the real bad guys.
exactly. That's the goal, right? So crimes are committed really fast. You run a stop sign, you steal some meat out of Walmart, you smoke a little narcotics. Those are not cases where you need to be sentenced to 10 years in custody because it's your third strike and you're sentenced to recidivist, right? You
Man,
and if
yeah, I
you
think
have
our
people
brothers went our
there,
brothers
you're
went through that
protected.
in the '90s really bad, particularly with the third strike law. Because once you hit that third strike, it could have been anything from throwing bubble gum on the sidewalk to stepping on a crack. You know what I'm saying? And you were
Right.
gonna go do life.
Yeah, California enacted what's called a third strike law, but it's kind of still
That's the
everywhere.
law.
Like here in Georgia, it's called the Recidivist Act. So basically, after your third felony, you have to do your sentence day for day, max. Right. So
Sheesh.
like hypothetically, aggravated assault carries a minimum sentence of 1 year, maximum sentence of 20 years. If you're sentenced under recidivist and then you're not subject to parole, you got to do every day, day
Of
for
that
day
20 years.
of that 20 years.
20
When
to the
probably,
dough.
but that is also at the discretion of who?
The prosecutor.
Prosecutor. I have to file a notice that I intend to seek the Recidivism Act. And I could do
Mm,
that. You could have, you got caught with a gram of cocaine. Okay. That's nothing but a sentence of 1 to 3. Then you get caught with felony shoplifting. You stole some cologne out of Macy's that's over $500. Then now you committed aggravated assault, which aggravated assault is very. You can shoot a person that's aggravated assault. You can
mhm.
punch a person that's aggravated assault,
True, true.
and you can get 20 years for punching someone, and you have to do 20 day for day
On your
if
third
you don't,
strike.
on your when you're sentenced under Recidivist Act. And so
Mm,
that's why you need people who come from similar backgrounds, who has similar ethnic backgrounds, to be able to step in and make those decisions that are fair and reasonable. Or else, if we're not there and people don't look like you and don't care for you, then you're gonna get that 20 years when otherwise you would have got that still 2 years probation.
right.
Yep.
That's crazy. You ever had any situation where they say you lean this way, then you go home, you go to bed and think about it. It's like, damn, I should have did that. I should have went the other way with that one.
No.
Oh, so
Because
you know what you doing when you walk in the door.
no, because no, not saying that. We have time. So like I don't make decisions right away when it comes to sentencing. I got time to sit down, I got time to think about it. I got time to talk to defense attorneys. They can provide me mitigating circumstances and let me know what's going on, especially if there's an issue that involves some type of, counseling that's needed or general background information that can mitigate certain things. I have an opportunity to sit back, consider all of that, and then make a decision. So by the time I make a decision, I already thought it through. if that makes sense.
Okay, so you've had time
Yeah,
to okay, so it's not one of those things like, damn, I shouldn't have did that. But
yeah,
because you've had so much time in between to weigh the ins and outs of it.
correct.
Okay, okay. Makes sense too. Makes sense too. Um Tell them about the event tomorrow, because you know what? I don't know if y'all know this, but every time DJ Agony calls himself going to retire and or go into hiding, there's people that come out and find him. I
So
found.
shout out to DJ Agony. DJ Agony is going to be our certified DJ tomorrow. The DeKalb County District Attorney's Office is hosting its first annual firearm violence prevention fair called Keeping It Real, which REAL stands for Responsible, Educated, and Lawful Gun Owners. And so, as we know, like I said, the proliferation of gun violence has increased since this pandemic. And unfortunately, unintended targets are actually, being a target. In some instances, the
Mm-hmm.
firearms are ending up in the wrong hands, of children, and children are subsequently shooting themselves or shooting other children because they don't know exactly what they have in their hand. They don't understand the power. And when I say children, I'm really talking about children like 4-year-olds and 5-year-olds. Think
Right.
the age that doesn't know the type of weapon that they have in their hand. They just think it's a toy. And so the cool thing about the Firearm Violence Prevention Fair, hosted by Sherry Boston, which is my boss, Madam District Attorney, DeKalb County, this is going to be a fair we have an opportunity to pass out information about lawful gun owners and what do you need to do to store your firearm. We're going to be passing out gun locks. We have free food. We have free Italian ices. We're going to have so many activities up there. We're going to have a game truck. It's going to be so dope. DJ Agnes is going to be DJing the hottest music out. No cursing, of course. And we're just going to have a good time. So please come on out if you have time. You'll get a free lock so long as the supplies last. You'll be able to also tour a fire truck, which is so dope because you always see fire trucks riding by, but the inner workings and the inner details of a fire truck is kind of awesome if you ever have an opportunity to view it up close and see all of the cool things that the fire department have. So it's going to be dope. We're also going to be at Gresham Park here in Decatur, or actually Atlanta,
Yeah.
3113 Gresham Road. So for all my East Siders, stand up. Product of McNair High School, so this is my hood. And that's actually, like I said, I'm the senior A.D.A that's leading the firearm violence prevention unit. I specifically chose Gresham Park for that purpose because it resonates with me. Since I had the opportunity to choose the location, I went
Yeah.
home. You
Hey,
know,
you gotta think. Some of everybody that yeah, I played baseball over there
yeah,
3 years. Everybody that did something at Gresham Park.
absolutely. So I played basketball at Gresham. You know,
Right.
and I had to bring it home. So and I want our community to be able to obtain these small little devices yet so effective that will prevent people who shouldn't have firearms get a hold of them, and therefore if the gun locks is on a firearm, it will prevent an unintentional shooting. And so that's
Definitely.
one of the ways that we want to curb gun violence, is just making sure that the guns are not in the hands of our little ones who don't recognize the item that they have in their hand and can prevent that, and we prevent their death. So if I can save one life in the county, by all means, I feel
Definitely.
successful. And in the meantime of saving lives, we giving out food, giving out Italian ices. You have an opportunity to play a little games. There's also a park out there for the children to play. So it's gonna be dope. And it's Gresham Park is a cooling center, and so you have the opportunity to step inside of the facility in the event it's too hot. It's tomorrow from 11 to 2 p.m., 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yeah,
Come out,
yeah.
come have a good time, come receive some information from DeKalb County Sheriff Boston. This event is held in conjunction with Commissioner Larry Johnson as well as Lucy McBeth, our representative for Congress. So it's going to be really, really dope. We're going to have some really, really cool people, some really, really important people, and most importantly, members of the community are going to be there. So we're going to have a really, really good time. And again, like I said, with DJ Agony on the ones and twos.
And that's what I'm saying, people. This is for y'all. This is for the community. So definitely come out for this. Definitely come out to Gresham Park, support this event. There's one thing I wanted to ask you about. Now we talking in the name of curbing gun violence. You hear you hear a term get thrown around a lot, but yet a lot of people can't generally answer it. And that's there needs to be gun reform.
Absolutely.
So but how do you define gun reform?
Gun reform basically is adding restrictions on on the owning of guns or gun regulations, you need to add restrictions so that for since we have the Second Amendment, which is the right to bear arms, if you have this gun reform to add restrictions to how you obtain certain weapons, to you know the process by obtaining a license or the process of obtaining a firearm, it's this country is so relaxed when it comes to guns, and we're like one of the only countries where the gun laws are so relaxed, and Congress as well as governors are passing even or governors or or state legislators are passing less restrictions on gun laws, just like just like Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
President Kemp, once the state legislature passed um, the gun law, I can't remember the name of the House bill, but basically you no longer need a concealed license to carry a firearm concealed.
True.
So now anyone can have a firearm on them and you don't know about it. That wasn't originally the case. You had to have a concealed license, which involved a detailed background check to make sure that you
Mm-hmm.
were lawfully able to carry a firearm. See, what in Georgia, you had a carry concealed weapon license, but to carry a weapon in its open without being concealed, you didn't need a license for that. But everyone was aware that you had a firearm, right? And
Right.
so when Governor Kemp signed that bill into law, now that restricted the ability for people to know that you're carrying firearms. So now you already have people who are illegally carrying firearms. Now you don't know who's carrying what, who's illegally carrying, because they continue to pass gun laws that are not restrictive in any way. And unfortunately, gun violence here and across the nation is at an all-time high. And
I mean, the mass shootings.
yeah, so that's so touching for me because these mass shootings are happening at local schools,
Right.
and with these AR, assault rifles, which can discharge multiple bullets in seconds, and
Right.
Congress is, unfortunately that happens with our congressmen. So just be mindful of, one of your most valuable rights is to get out there and vote. Because if you don't get out there and vote, change will never happen. In order to have reform, we may have to start reforming our legislators, our congressmen and our senators and House of Representatives to make a change. If they always constantly think that the NRA is more powerful and is able to financially
Mm-hmm.
use their finance to back their power, and you choose that over the lives of your citizens, then I think we all should take a look at who our congressman is, and make a decision to the polls. If we want to save lives, if we want to stop gun violence, then there needs to be some type of reform. And President Biden, as well as Vice President Harris, already stated that they think assault rifles should be banned. And they was the Republicans was like, oh no. But people don't know there was assault ban. I mean, a ban on assault rifles back in the 80s, and it expired in 1990 in the 90s.
Right.
Yeah. So it's been done.
Oh, it's happened.
Yeah.
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 And the thing is interesting because that was going to be the point I was going to bring up. It's going to be hard to reform under the eyes of the government when the NRA is really making a lot of this happen. If
Yep.
my money, if my money's pulling the strings over here, yeah, this group of politicians are going to do whatever we tell them to,
Exactly.
whether it's for the good of the people or not. That envelope's coming on time.
And greed wins every time, right?
Man, look here. Every time.
Every time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. So so let me ask you this. How does a typical day at work go? Because like most people, they go, they clock in, and then because you know how black people do. We clock in first, then we eat our breakfast.
Hey, I do. I gotta warm up my oatmeal, man. It's the only
Yeah,
way
but that's
I start.
after I hit the clock. Like I'm beelining to this clock. I'm gonna hit it, and then you know what? Now it's time to eat breakfast. It's probably gonna be another 15, 20 minutes before I hit the floor. But outside of that part, how does a typical day at work go?
So my day is never typical, right?
Generic job. You're not at Walmart.
Right. My day is not typical. You know, especially when I'm getting ready for trial and I'm in trial mode.
Hmm.
Like this case I just tried a murder. We had to go find some witnesses in Florida. So we literally had to book flights, get on flights, track people down, make contact with the local attorney's office down there, speak with them. Had to get order signed in through judges, and this wasn't anything I had anticipated. But
That's
if I wanted to
crazy.
get justice, I got to do what I have to do. So then there are some days where I got to go get material witness warrants. You don't want to come to court, depending on the case. Typically, if it's a murder, I need you there.
Right.
So either you're going to come with me or you're going to come with the deputies.
Right. I'm gonna have somebody bring you.
Yeah. And so, my day's never typical. And some days, I'm preparing for motion. So I'm constantly maybe researching some old case law, analyzing old cases and seeing how those cases apply to my new case, reading new cases and making charging decisions or making decisions whether or not I'm going to dismiss a case, or in my role, speaking at events, coordinating community events, preparing, different presentations that I could possibly give or potentially give to a group of people that will hopefully, again, help me in my overall goals to reduce gun violence. And so my days are never the same. And then again, this is a new unit that I'm leading. So I'm trying to understand things that the community needs, balancing that with my court uh, cases that I have to, ultimately try. Also meeting up with the United States Attorney's Office, and we make charging decisions together, whether or not I send cases to the feds, whether or not we try it together. So it's never typical. I'm always doing something different, and I'm always busy
That's
because
it. That is one thing that I heard you mention more times than not in the midst of that whole rundown. You do a lot of reading.
I do.
You
I
do a
didn't know I
lot of
like to read so much. Come to know, it's very important. Like,
yeah.
I think I was reading at like 3 in the morning. I had to research an issue that popped up in my case. So I was up at 3 this morning reading it and being able to prepare my argument on the issue. So sometimes I can be reading for an hour or two. Sometimes it can be 30 minutes. I know exactly, the law. I just need to make sure I have something to back it up, like a case to back it up.
Gotcha.
Sometimes it's a issue of first impressions, and so there is no case law on it. And at that moment, you creating case law.
Uh-oh.
That takes extensive reading because you're trying to get about a new point in a roundabout way by just researching, past issues that were similar and how to correlate that with a new issue. So
That's what's
there's a
up.
lot of reading and a lot of writing in law school. I mean, being a lawyer. They
Miss
didn't tell you that in law school.
Miss Jackson up here setting precedents, y'all. She's setting precedents. It's gonna be the first time you see it right here, and then next thing you know, it's gonna be on the episode of Law and Order. I promise.
I'm trying to get. Hey, they better have me as a guest speaker or a guest actors.
Right, right. You know what's funny though, because my minor was actually in political science,
Mm.
so I had to take the legislative branch, and just being transparent, I actually had to take it twice. But stay out my stay out my business, whatever. I found something I like and I stuck with it. That's why I
Right.
took it twice. But yeah, reading legal docs, that's a whole nother level of reading right there.
It is. I'm not gonna lie. Some days I can be so tired. I would take a nap. Like I would have to literally nap, maybe a 20-minute nap, wake up in order to clear my mind, and then I can read for hours. But I have to
Right,
take a nap because it's like I'm a lawyer, yeah, but it's still dry. So I'll be reading and be like,
right. Because
and I'll be like, okay,
there
let
are
me take a nap.
there are no wow words that jump out, particularly like when you're reading, old law,
Yeah.
like how old law was written. And I get it, it's written like that because there has to be so many provisions to answer the what if factor. But god damn, some of them words though, I'm just being
Yeah,
mm.
sometimes you have to read the legislative intent, which goes back to the origination of the creation of the law. Yeah, it can be a lot, but like I said, I but for the most part, as you do this job, the longer you do this job, some things, you just, and so like
Mm-hmm.
some of it can be routine, like especially in certain trials, they're going to file the same type of motion. So I've already argued it before. I researched it, so I'm good to go. I know how to prepare for it. So some things become routine, and therefore you don't have to do a lot of research. There's ever so often there is a issue of first impression that pops up, but it happens. I just argued one of first impressions in my last trial in April, so
Mm.
we shall see what precedent is set back then.
Right. See, everything can't be a open and shut, a
That's
slam
true.
dunk, as you will. So some of this shit, I'll be watching the news, and particularly like, and a lot of us become at home lawyers. See, you did it the hard way. You went to school. You should just did like me and like skip work every Monday and watch Fatal Attraction all day.
You
Right?
know what I watched? Matlock. I don't know why.
It was
I,
Matlock.
Matlock, because I
Matlock was
always
your
try.
lawyer show.
Matlock was my lawyer show. I
Really?
always try to figure out who the killer was because it was never the person Matlock represented, right? Matlock got everybody off.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mentioned it, you're right.
Matlock.
And you know what? Maybe it was because I was looking at it wrong. I thought Matlock sucked because of that. I'm like, yo, nobody goes to jail on this show.
He's the defense attorney. He gets
Oh,
everybody off.
oh well, in that case, yeah, Matlock was almost perfect then.
Yeah, he 1,000% perfect. I never seen him lose a case.
Because I always wondered why nobody went to jail. I never realized
Yeah,
until I was a few minutes ago, years old, that Matlock was a defense attorney.
yeah, he get everybody off. He had everybody want to be the defense attorney.
Well, damn. No wonder nobody went to jail. Big shouts out to Eddie Griffin in his
Right?
second career. You go from being a sheriff to a defense attorney. That's all right. It's always good to have a second career, y'all. But okay, so let's talk about that though. Let's talk about that. And that was going to be one of my questions. So you notice how on TV the the courtroom is so dramatic. The jury box is sitting over here and everybody's looking with intent, and the lawyer comes up here with these beautiful soliloquies, and he's got so much to say, and he knows how to hit the desk at the right time to make that point. Okay, I've been to court, but I've never been to trial.
Right.
Is it that dramatic and exciting for real?
It can be at times.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I'll think about it,
Well,
right?
you
And
well
because when you think about how court works, it's really an argument with somebody the judge in the middle to moderate.
exactly. Now nobody's hitting the desk. Like the judge be like, "Hey, don't hit my dang on desk." So nobody's like hitting the desk or doing things of that nature. But and it's not all exciting. It can be very boring because it's just questions being asked. But you
Hmm.
know, the lawyers want to be the center of attention. So like in closing arguments, like my closing arguments, I think are great. No, I'm just playing. But no, in all seriousness, in closing arguments, you're doing a summation of the evidence, what was heard. And so you get up there, like you said, great soliloquies, and you telling the story and how the story, sides with your evidence and how you should make your position what mine is based off the evidence and saying they crazy over here. I locked the door so my kid couldn't get in, and he's trying really hard to get into the room, but y'all
Hey,
don't want to see
that's
him.
breaking and entering.
So he was out doing donuts the other day in his little motorized truck, and I was like, dude, what are you trying to do? GSP will pit maneuver you and you will go to jail. But nah, and so in our series typically it kind of gets a little exciting and closing arguments because it's not your time to really influence the jury on why they should side with you. And so you can be a little dramatic. I throw some ad libs. I throw a lot of shade. I'm not gonna lie, I'm the shade queen. I will shade you like a painting, boy.
It's like, yeah. And are you really gonna go with this defense attorney with that ugly ass tie he got on?
I won't talk about the top, but I'll talk about the argument though.
He ain't said shit. Fuck him.
I'll shade you, and like I'll get some people on my side, just and they'll tell me like, "Man, I caught that shade," and I was like, "That was intentional."
Oh, I did that on
But
purpose.
other than that, it is not as exciting as TV. You're
It's
not
not.
going to see some. some 3D clip that zoomed in and then it gets pixelated. Next thing you know, the face is clear. Nah, video don't
Nah,
work like that
nah.
in real
That's
life.
why I say, yeah, no time to kill moments. People
Yeah,
with Samuel L. Jackson's in there cussing everybody out. Nah, that's
right.
not gonna
Nah,
happen. Nah, you
nah.
know, not quite gonna be the next Atticus Finch. None of that. None of that.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, but I used to wonder that, but then like I said, having and then like I didn't get picked for jury duty. I kind of wanted to get picked for jury duty. I'm like, well, shit, since I'm here now,
Right.
like,
So it's crazy that you say that everybody always wants to get out of jury duty. Then they get picked. They be like, yo, this actually was pretty cool every time.
because I really wanted to see the actual process. But it was like, and plus, y'all brought me. I'm here now. I'm here.
Right.
I'm here. Go ahead and pick me so I can come in here and watch the trial, and I can be like, ooh, you going to jail?
Or he ain't do it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
Like,
yeah,
it's side
oh
either way.
yeah.
Yeah.
That when we gonna be in the jury by hell no, we won't go. Yeah, then they gonna hold me in contempt and kick me out.
You gonna go to jail for a couple days.
Damn. Yeah, no mind. It's a good thing they didn't pick me because I'm gonna be sitting in there vested. I'm gonna be sitting right there.
It's
Uh-uh.
in all honesty, like when people realize the severity of the situation, they actually take it just serious because they recognize what's at stake. And
Mm-hmm.
so,
The thing
you
is,
know,
that's somebody's life,
yeah,
one way or the other. Whether
yep,
you go guilty or innocent, that's somebody's life on the line.
yep. So people actually take it really serious.
Yeah, man. And it's funny because, like I said, I'm an at-home lawyer. I'm a ID channel expert. That's where I got my certification at ID channel,
Right.
TV One, TV One on Mondays. You know what I'm saying, when they used to run Fatal Attraction. Like I said, I'm sitting here running down. I'm like, okay, so yeah, the evidence said that.
Did you ever notice though in Fatal Attraction? I swear, majority of the Fatal Attraction involved some type of medical personnel. Where it was a nurse. It was like a stream of Fatal Attraction I watched. It was somebody. It was always a nurse or a LPN. I was like, yo,
That's what I'm
I'm
saying.
not dating a nurse, man.
But
I
that's what I'm saying. I see girls with scrubs on. I run the other way.
can't.
Like, I ain't finna wake up dead just because you got there and work overnight. No,
There'd be a
no.
lot of nurses on Fatal Attraction. I was like, what are y'all trying to say? You know what I mean?
Man, yo, big shouts out to all my people that, are nurses and not killing people. However, I used to ride by GMI every day. You remember GMI when it was downtown?
No, what's that?
It was like Georgia Medical, but it became the school that became Everest.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I saw some of those great esteemed GMI graduates. And I'm like, yeah, that's an episode of Fatal Attraction when it happened there. Yeah, man. Let me ask you this though. Is there a case you would not try?
That's a good question. No,
Say everybody getting it. I love it.
no. Now, as a prosecutor, I say no. But say hypothetically, I flip sides. At one point, I used to say I wouldn't represent a rapist. But looking at history, a lot of people have been exonerated
Falsely
from
accused.
rape. So I question that. But at this point, of course, it's subject to change. But I would say at this moment, no. That was the
Yeah.
only thing that caught me. But some people are, it is it rape? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
especially back in the earlier days where African Americans were wrongly convicted of rape when they get caught with a person of a different race.
Hmm.
And back in Jim Crow, it was like they got the book thrown at them when they were actually in a relationship
Yeah.
with
You
someone of
just
the opposite
you,
race.
you just happen to be dating somebody.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
I used to say that, but then as I grew into my career, I was like, there's probably not a case I wouldn't try. I might be so if I become a defense attorney, I might be selective in the cases I take, but I think I'll try anything.
That's what's up.
I,
Oh, we got questions from the chat.
the age of my youngest client. So I don't generally deal with juvenile cases because our juvenile is an entirely different building.
Hmm.
But when they're tried as an adult, then there are cases or there are times at that point where I would deal with a juvenile. But for the most part, our juveniles are tried in juvenile court. My youngest, the young, the youngest age, and they're not my clients. My client is always the state of Georgia. So I would not have a client, but I've had to prosecute a 15-year-old for murder, I
Mm-mm.
think. And by law, in order to be charged as an adult, you must have to be at least 13 years of age to be tried as an adult. So,
That's deep.
yeah, I think it was 15. 15 was the youngest I've had.
And that's one of those things. It's like one of those things where like how you mentioned it before, to where you said you do this to help people that look like us not get overcharged. You know what I'm saying? To help them get justice from that end. Okay, you did something that was worth a year and not 20.
Right.
But when a 15-year-old murders somebody, bro, I can't even.
Yeah, it's
It's
difficult decisions that we have to make. It is very difficult decisions that I have to make.
But yeah, it's only so much it's kind of one of those things I tell my students. It's like, look, you're forcing my hand.
Yeah,
I want everybody to pass, but goddamn, you can't even just put your name on the top of the paper. I can't even give you a 60 for this.
right. And
Help me.
that's why I look forward, to speaking at schools. Hopefully, that's down the pipeline within my unit because it's important that we tell these children early. Sometimes their brain is not fully developed and they have impulses and they don't recognize the consequence for their actions. So that's one of the things that I look forward to doing in my unit is speaking at local school, high schools, and then trickling down to middle school so that we can get to our young children early because I
Yeah,
don't want to see them in my court system.
y'all are needed at the middle school. I'll be the first to tell you.
Yeah, I know that.
You know, no, I know that.
That's no, I know it too. I just had to. I had to. Well, I wouldn't say middle school, but I had to go get someone from a high school here in DeKalb County, and when I tell them, when you see me, that is not a good thing in that aspect of my work.
Mm-mm. That's why I
So,
only see you on Saturdays at the park
at the
from
park, Gresham
from
Park, or this
11 to
Saturday,
2.
11 to 2. Come and
Yeah, that's
get
right,
your
y'all.
come
Yeah,
get
but
your
y'all,
gun locks and
man, y'all come down there, get y'all some gun laws, get y'all some good conversation because we gonna be out there with a bunch of experts. Let these folks tell y'all
yeah,
just exactly what's going on out here. Because the thing is, a lot of people think that when they reach that status or that level, that y'all kind of lose that relatability. Well, when it happens on the streets, where do you think it'll go, people? It's going there next,
right,
so they know too.
yeah.
Yeah. So and then all come out, she said free food. I mean, that was kind of there was something about something 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 DJ something something free food, and then words gaming truck. So if you want to come down there, catch this fade in a little Street Fighter right quick, and then I'm probably going, you know what I'm saying, make me a couple of turkey burgers like this big, you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, come down there, just come down there and have a good time, and also get educated. And they're giving away gun locks. They're giving away gun locks. Like this is perfect for the hood. And then if nothing else, just come hang out. The music gonna be riding. It's gonna be clean, but just fill in the cuss words in your head. Just fill in the cuss words in your head, man. That's all. That's all you gotta do. It ain't a biggie.
Yes,
So
come on out with us and hang out with me and DJ Agony, man. It's gonna be dope, just like Dr. Dope himself.
that's what she said. That's what I'm saying. This works. Major Jackson, man, what would you tell anybody, let's just say anybody young, about doing what you do? The same way you had that mentor that told you about being the most powerful person in the courtroom. If you had a young person come under you and decide that they want to go into law but don't have an idea of what lane to go down, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them, one, don't pay attention to the stereotypes. Seek the information yourself and you make a conscious decision. As you're coming up, you have the ability to intern in multiple locations and figure out how everyone's job works and figure out what you like best, and don't worry about what anyone else thinks, what anyone else says, because again, they only know a small portion about what you do, and
Hmm.
they've listened to the stereotypes, but don't let the stereotypes hinder you or prevent you from being the person that you want to be, especially if you want to be a lawyer and you don't know which route you want to take. By all means, get an opportunity to work on all sides, and then once you work all sides, you make an educated decision within yourself as to what you think works for you, and then you go forward. And the good thing about this profession is you can change at any time. There are a lot of defense attorneys out there that have been former prosecutors. They become prosecutors to learn how the side of prosecution work, and then they go on to the other side to make the big bucks.
Hmm. I've heard that before too.
Yeah, a lot of great defense attorneys that everyone talks about and name drop, they've all been prosecutors.
I've heard that before. I've heard that before more than once, and it was just
Yeah.
like you can actually kind of tell the difference. You know what I'm saying? It's like
Mhm.
when you watch football, that one guy that can play cornerback and receiver, he knows both sides of the ball. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But it works the same way with that prosecutor turned defense attorney.
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
that prosecutor, and when he was acting as that prosecutor, anytime he messed up, good. It was only on behalf of the state. It wasn't on behalf of his client. So he was able to learn, grow, learn the law, learn and see how prosecutors work, and use that to his advantage when he became a defense, or he or she becomes a defense attorney.
that's real. That's
Yeah.
real.
So just keep an open mind and don't listen to stereotypes. Make your own decision. Be your own leader and not worry about what everybody else think about. I've never, again, like DJ Agony said, we've been knowing each other a long time. We went to high school together. I went to McNair High School.
I
They
was
like,
there.
Ty, you a prosecutor? Yes. Because you only see the prosecutor as a person convicting people, but you don't see behind the scene that prosecutor dismissing all them cases. You don't see a lot of the
Mm.
behind the scenes. You just see what's in the news and these prosecutors giving all this time out to these people who are committing heinous crime. Like, y'all know, y'all see every day, free my bruh, such and such, free my bruh. Such. That man probably killed 3 people, and they like, free my dog. You like, you want him free. And so things
Oh,
of that nature, like,
I
don't listen to the stereotypes and just be you, man. Don't worry about man right now.
I ain't gonna lie. I saw one day, scared the shit out of me. This is how I know. I think I'm getting old for real. This dude, I'm talking about tats all on their face. Oh man, free my dog, man. Free my cuz. He ain't do nothing. I'm like, I'm looking at the picture like, yo, keep that nigga. I feel a lot safer with me knowing where he is than me not knowing where he is in these
But
streets.
see, DJ
I don't
Agnew, you
feel safe.
stereotyping. You stereotyping.
Man, no, that nigga look scary.
You stereotyping.
I'm about to free my boy. Nah, let's try him first and then see if he did it or not before we free him. Nah, we ain't just
Yeah.
letting him out now.
Every defendant is innocent unless and until proven guilty. That is
Until
the
proven
law.
until proven guilty.
See, that's why I'm the prosecutor and not DJ Agnew, because he's stereotyping.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. You actually went to school. I went to the ID channel. See, two different types of experts right there. Hey yo, so look, let me ask you this though. And I bring up the ID channel. How much of that stuff be fluff? Like, is that really how it works?
Yes, it's some fluff. But sometimes they talk about different testing, ballistic testing, and DNA testing. That's real.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And one thing I learned about that from CSI, it's not as fast as they do it. See,
Oh
CSI
no,
CSI what I ended up learning about that show, that's about 4 or 5 months that they pack into an hour.
yeah.
Yeah.
It takes time,
Cause
and a lot
cause
of in Georgia.
forensics is its own monster.
Yeah. And a lot of forensic in Georgia is done at the GBI, so the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, and they
Hmm.
test for the state of Georgia.
The whole
So
state.
imagine they getting cases from DeKalb, Cobb, down south, you
Hmm.
know, up north, Hall County, they getting
Eh,
cases from everywhere, and they have to test everybody's stuff. So they like you better get in line.
yeah,
So
that crime lab that's over there on Panthersville,
yep,
that stay backed up
yeah,
because it's not a lot of people who are certified to do that kind of work.
no, and there's so
And
many tests. You got people who test firearms to see if the cartridge casings or projectiles recovered from the scene where they fired from this gun that we found. They test
your
the
ballistic
drugs.
system,
They perform autopsies there.
hmm
They do. They test toxicology. They test drugs and see what the drug actually was. There's so many tests that they have to run, and just like everywhere else, right now, staff shortages are at an all-time high. So everyone is impacted,
hmm
even those positions that you think you need, expertise in, or a lot of education. ev- Everyone has having a staffing shortage, and
yeah,
everyone's playing it to their advantage. So
yeah. I mean, you kind of got to do the best you could do with what you have, you know.
so they will outsource certain things to, like, certain drug identifications. They'll outsource that to other labs outside of the state. Bad thing for us if that case goes to trial, and I got to find that person out of state and bring them up here to testify. But it
So,
works. Yeah.
so now we got to go to the state crime lab in Mississippi to find your ass.
Yeah, that is how it is.
But
Yeah,
you know what though? If nothing else, it doesn't sound like there's a dull moment.
it's not. It's not a dull moment. It won't be a dull moment tomorrow. So everybody, come on out and hang out with us.
Definitely, definitely come out, man. Like for real. Like we kicking good shit tomorrow, people.
Yeah,
In the name of quelling gun violence. The thing is, it's like it's one of those type things. Yo, I'm tired of seeing the pictures online with the homie or somebody I knew or what I'm saying have came across with the angel wings on.
yeah. I'm
I'm
tired of
I'm
seeing it too. I
I'm tired of
really
seeing
just,
those pictures. Like seriously.
yeah. I just,
Um, and that don't mean like come up with different pictures. That means stop killing the homies.
right. Man, DJ Agnes, it's been so fun. I know we said we was gonna go 30 minutes, we went 52 because it was a great conversation, man. I really, really enjoyed having this
Oh, but see, that's the
conversation.
thing. I
I hope
always
you
have.
invite me back one day.
Oh yeah, we always got space for you. Look, as long as I have a platform, you have a seat right there. Yeah, so I always allot at least an hour of time because
Yeah.
I have nothing to do. It's Friday night, and I'm not. Who gonna go on a date with me? It's Friday night, so the chat box is open. People, anybody want to just throw out a date for DJ Agony?
Yeah. But yeah, I
Um,
really, really had fun.
Definitely, definitely.
So thank
Tomorrow,
you. Yes,
Gresham
thank you.
Park, 11 to 2. Come down, get good shit, get on the game truck, catch this fade in 2K, and then we gonna get us some of these free hot dogs and a free gun lock and listen to some good ghetto music, the clean kind though.
Yeah. So come on out, everyone. DJ Agni, thank you so much for having me. I really, really appreciate you
Not a
taking
problem,
time
not a
out your
problem at
schedule to
all.
have me here.
Definitely, definitely, and let the people know, outside of professionally, because you don't want to contact her professionally. Like that's not who you want to see professionally.
Absolutely.
But your social handles, if people just want to just hit you up and say hey.
All right, y'all. Outside, well, I don't have a professional social media. I let that let my boss have that, but I just have my personal social media. It's Ty What's Poppin' 5, TYSWHTSPOPPIN 5. So just hit me up on all social media platforms at Ty What's Poppin' 5.
There you go, there you go. And y'all know y'all can find me anywhere. Dope Enterprise on Instagram. No, 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 wait a minute. Dope Enterprise on Facebook. Dope Enterprise on YouTube. Dope dot Enterprise on Instagram. Make sure you look out for the Quick 30 on Wednesday nights, and then the Dope Show right here on Fridays. As I end every show, imitation. It's a sincerest form of flattery that mediocrity to pay to greatness. I am DJ Agony, two-time ATL's hottest DJ. That is Senior A.D.A. Tyshawn Jackson. And we'll be at Gresham Park in the morning, 11 o'clock to 2. And we out.
All right,
Peace.
y'all. Have a good one.
Peace.